we're staring down the barrel of defeat.
Speaking to Nick Ferrari, Mr Johnson also defended his record as London Mayor and Foreign Secretary. He's continually declined to discuss why police were called to his home last week following reports of a row with his girlfriend. And this morning he refused to address suggestions a new photo of the couple is staged.
So that's a state secret. You're asking. So that's a state secret. When the picture was taken, when was it taken? It's not a state secret. It's just happened.
1, 2, 1.
You won't even tell me when the picture was taken.
Mr Johnson also denied reports that Donald Trump's former advisor Steve Bannon is advising his leadership campaign. In other news this morning, the Met Police Commissioner has told LBC she stands by her previous comments about the tide turning on violent crime in London. President Dick said the overall figures are going in the right direction. It's despite a spate of 5 murders in the capital since 9 days earlier this month.
Hello?
20%.
Hi.
Just under 20% last fall.
I haven't yet, but I'll look.
The tide is going in the right direction. It is taking a massive effort by all sorts of people, not least my very, very brave officers.
Okay. Yeah. Why don't you want your name on it?
The new US sanctions targeting its supreme
Okay.
leader have permanently
Yeah.
closed the road for diplomacy between the two countries. President Trump says the financial restrictions are in response to what he calls Iran's increasingly provocative.
Yeah, I contacted Amna as well, but she hasn't. I think she's working, so she probably hasn't picked her email.
It'll require companies to list full ingredients on the labelling of pre-packaged food. The parents of Natasha and Laprousse say the introduction of the law would be a fitting legacy following their daughter's death in 2016. The LBC Markets report a short time ago, the FTSE 100 was down 19 points at 73.97, and the pound buys $1.27 and €1.12. LBC weather: thunderstorms and torrential rain easing from eastern and south central areas, but staying cloudy with further light rain in places.
Okay.
Brightening
All
up
right.
across western and southern
All right.
parts and feeling
Cheers.
very warm and humid. A high of 25 degrees. From Global's newsroom for LBC, I'm Simon Collins.
Confucius once said, life is simple, but we insist on making it complicated. Although philosophers say we believe choosing your next
Alright, Simon. Yeah, alright, yeah. Are you at home? Do you mind if I try this again with you? But what I did, I've made it public, and I think it'll work. Just sending you the link. So I'll send you the link in a few minutes. You click on it and then try and make a comment. All right? Okay, brilliant. Cheers. Bye. 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 So, hello? Hello?
Have you received financial advice to move your pension? You may need a pension check to see if you can reduce balances in compensation for the long.
You know, I have to already at this point have to say, would you have thought that whatever happened?
Yeah, I know the guy's always been a bit of a clown.
He's not the most popular man in Liverpool, is he, after that Simon Hemmer editorial about your sort of victim complex? The city.
Well, yeah, I've actually been researching a lot more lately, actually, than I'm being potential Prime Minister.
Yeah.
And I've come across things such as that, which is just shocking, which you need to acknowledge that as. But what got me about the interview, I know this one's dodged questions, but this thing about the arguments, I don't see it as such a big deal if you would just address it. People have, arguments, domestic arguments, but it's the way he's avoiding it. The way he seems to avoid in any interview, full stop.
It's very, very odd. And to add to the oddness, if, as seemed to be established during that interview, this photograph of the rapprochement and reconciliation was actually taken long before the row.
Oh, that was just a joke.
But that's quite significant, because that would suggest that he's trying to pull the wool over the public's eyes again, although I think he sort of denied any knowledge or responsibility of how that private photograph found its way to the Mail Online website yesterday.
He must think the public are very, very naive and very stupid.
Well, he clearly does think that, but you were warming to him prior to that interview, so you just described his view of you.
Yeah, I've always warned to, the joking side of him, and always seen him as a bit of a character.
Yes. You're not allowed to talk about his character, remember?
Yeah, as I say, recently I've learned a lot about him. And I was talking, I've got a sort of 19-year-old son, I've always tried to encourage him to get an interest in politics.
Yes.
And we both agreed the other night that although we thought he's a pretty funny guy in the past,
Something's changed. I mean, I'm presuming neither you nor your son are Conservative Party members, so of course your view doesn't matter.
No.
In this great,
it's quite dangerous now to think that this man could be.
Well, I don't want to be too glib about it, but it seems to me that the choice is between a man who might accidentally set the country on fire in the case of Jeremy Hunt, or a man who would almost certainly do it on purpose in the case of Boris Johnson. But that's just me. 24 minutes after 10, Andrew, thank you. Looking for needles that have nudged. And of course, you are perfectly entitled to question the good faith of my callers. You'll understand why I very rarely do, because I trust them and I know the processes by which they come on air and the good faith that they have to demonstrate. But you're perfectly entitled to believe that anyone ringing in to say that they now have a more negative view of Boris Johnson is exaggerating, because they already held him in the lowest regard before they made the call, just as you're perfectly entitled to believe that anyone ringing in to claim that their opinion of Boris Johnson has risen is talking out of their fundament. Jonathan's in Watford. Jonathan, what would you like to say?
Hello, James. I'm somewhat conflicted. The needle's gone to empty in terms of Boris. It's gone from full all the way to empty, and that's
Really?
because of what happened at the weekend.
Yes.
The fact that he's pulled out of the television debate. The interview with Nick this morning was
He
frankly
was
just
never
a
pulled
joke.
into it, in his defence. So I mean, he never agreed to do it, and then withdrew his agreement. But he certainly isn't doing it. He seems to be scared of Jeremy Hunt. But of course, his supporters claim he's equipped to steer the country through the most difficult period in generations. But he's scared of Jeremy Hunt.
Also, confession, I voted Brexit, which now I hadn't.
Okay.
So I know that you are into it. But I'm conflicted only because my biggest fear is Jeremy Corbyn. I know that's not the exact point you're talking about just now, but whether or not Boris is going to be a great Prime Minister, of the two of them, I think he's the one that could potentially beat Jeremy Corbyn. So in an ideal world, I'd like him to come in.
What about a different Labour? What about a different Labour leader? I think you speak for a lot of people when you describe that, and I think that's probably what will sway the membership as well. Is this fear of Corbyn, whether it's justified or not? Would a different Labour leader change your position?
Possibly. I mean, obviously, for my name, I'm a proud British Jew. Corbyn terrifies me
I knew you were called Jonathan. I'm not necessarily going to be able to extrapolate your religion or indeed your pride.
I thought you had my surname, James. I apologise. If I've given it and I should have, I'm sorry. No. If there were a different Labour leader, then I might take a different view. I mean, I voted for Tony Blair.
Yes.
Because I thought that he would bring something different, and to some extent he did. But to be honest, he was more to the centre. Jeremy Corbyn is so far to the left. It does.
And again, the problem with the way I'm doing my job at the moment is I'm inviting callers to ring in with strong opinions about political figures, about whom I have strong opinions, but I then find myself having a sort of to defend them. He's certainly perceived as being very far to the left, and he certainly has done things in the past or subscribed to schools of thought in the past that are very far to the left, but in the great scheme of things, he's in a Scandinavian model, he'd be very close to the centre. He's a sort of Scandinavian-style social democrat. The problem I have, which you don't have to agree with necessarily, is that I don't trust him, and that is a lot more important than politics. But, of course, I now have to point out to you, Jonathan, that I don't trust Boris Johnson either, and nor do you, and yet such is your fear of Jeremy Corbyn that you are prepared to countenance him being Prime Minister. That's a bit odd.
Oh, you know something, James? I agree, because hearing me say it out loud is a bit different to how I thought it would sound in my head.
Yeah, welcome to my world.
I would honestly, sadly, prefer that Jeremy Hunt beat Boris, because I don't trust him. To be honest, there are very few politicians I trust, but I think I would trust Jeremy Hunt more than I would trust Boris.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, Jonathan, and I'm going to suggest you are not now, nor ever have been, a junior doctor.
No, you're right.
It's 28 minutes after 10. If you are now or ever have been a junior doctor and you'd like to address some of Jonathan's potential faith in Jeremy Hunt, you know what to do. The phone lines are open, couple free now after those calls. 0345 606 0973 is the number that you need. You see, I'm in a difficult position every day at the moment because I've spent most of my working life telling you my opinions about everything, and of course it is perfectly natural to presume that my previously held opinions will colour my reaction to anything new or current. I can swear until I'm blue in the face that they don't. I approach every day afresh, but I have views, and my views of Boris Johnson were confirmed during that interview with Nick Ferrari, so my needle hasn't moved at all. I'm interested in people whose needles have moved. 0345 6060 973. And I know that the surrogates and the supporters are claiming it doesn't matter or questioning the motives of the neighbours, but that photograph, that photograph that Nick went in on, I kid you not, 26 times. When was that picture taken? Because it wasn't, it turns out, sort of internet archaeology that we were indulging in over the last 24 hours. A lot of people pointed out to me that his hair appeared to have grown about 2 inches in 48 hours, which is why Nick went in on it, because it's a deception of the British public if that picture was placed in the media to persuade voters that the row on the row to which the police were called the other night was just a storm in a teacup, and here is the evidence. It wouldn't be conclusive evidence, but it would be evidence for the defence, for the rapprochement, for the reconciliation. If it turned out that picture, A, had been taken several weeks previously, or even several days or hours previously, and B, that it had been cynically fed to the newspapers in the hope of inflating
Chris Reeves, 1783.
then it becomes really significant. If you're wondering why Nick asked 26 times, now that I've explained that to you, you might be wondering why he didn't ask 126
Chris
times.
Reeves, 1783.
The short answer is he already made 5 minutes of my show. Simon Conway's here now with the headline.
Appearing on LBC, Boris Johnson has refused to answer 26 times when asked about the details of a photo of him and his partner. It was published by several newspapers days after police were called to the flat the couple share by neighbours who'd heard a loud argument. Some have suggested the photo was staged and actually taken from several weeks earlier.
So that's a state secret.
You're asking me.
So that's a state secret when the picture was taken. So when was it taken?
Well, maybe
It's not a state secret. It just happens to be
Simon
something
and
that I
try
don't want
both.
to get into.
You won't even tell me when the
And
picture
my
was
phone,
taken.
my password.
Speaking to Nick Ferrari, the Tory leadership frontrunner also insisted he would be able to get a no-deal Brexit through the House of Commons, and he promised to fund 20,000 more police officers if he becomes Prime Minister. You can watch more of Mr Johnson's phone-in at lbc.co.uk. LBC weather staying cloudy with further light rain in eastern and some central parts of the country, brightening up across western and southern areas with the odd heavy shower, and feeling warm and humid, a high of 25 degrees.
The battle for PM. Follow it live on LBC. Sheila Fogarty, Monday to Friday from 1 p.m.
I think the opposite, Colin. I think it will mobilise both sides enormously.
Well, I don't think.
Will you vote?
I don't know. It depends on how you.
I can't imagine why you wouldn't if you're this passionate
Well,
about your position.
I know what's going to happen. There'll be 3 questions, and they'll lower the voting age to 16.
What if there are 2 questions and it's the same age of voting? Will you vote? I can't
I've
imagine.
already believe I already voted.
Sheila Fogarty.
With Blink Home security cameras, helping give your family peace of mind.
LBC. There's nothing like meeting face-to-face. And there's nothing like Zoom to make that happen. Zoom lets you connect and do business across town or around the world. Zoom ties together all of your communication needs into one easy platform for video conferencing, phone calls, group chat, webinars, and your conference rooms. Connect easily from anywhere. Your mobile phone, your laptop, or conference room. Zoom is how business gets done. Get your free account at zoom.com today. Meet happy with Zoom.
The world's longest wedding dress was longer than the Grand National Racecourse. Think that's big? This Tuesday, the Euro Millions jackpot is a colossal £39 million.
Yeah.
39 million! Now that's big.
Euro Millions from the National Lottery.
Okay.
Amazing starts here. Estimated jackpot. Rules and procedures apply. Players must be 16 or over.
You can complain free to your lender or the Financial Ombudsman about missold PPI. Alternatively, if you haven't got the time or the inclination, then just get the claims guys to manage the claims process for you. With the August 29th deadline approaching, time's at a premium anyway. So if you can't find your paperwork or you're not even sure you have PPI, it's definitely time to make a decision and start your PPI claim before it's too late. Text ANSWER to 66777. Text ANSWER to 66777 now.
The claims guys.
Global Player.
The brand new app.
Radio, playlists, and podcasts.
All together and all for free.
Choose from thousands of podcasts, from Full Disclosure with James O'Brien
And Today in Focus.
Global Player.
The brand new app.
Download it from your App Store now.
Get Vodafone's double data deal this summer. We're giving away double data on all pay monthly smartphones. Yes, all pay monthly smartphones. Now a huge 30 gig for the price of 15. Start...
tune in now. Do you want to just hold on a second? Great. Excellent. So did you sign in as you or me? Great. Well done. Fantastic. I bought the microphone. The reason sound is working is I bought the microphone this morning, like a unidirectional thing, which hopefully can pick up speakers and the audience. So, okay. Brilliant. Come on. Yeah. Well, click on the screen, and there'll be a mute button and a volume control. Is it better? Yeah. Okay. All right, then, Simon. Cheers. Right. Yeah. That's it. All right. Okay. All right. Yeah. All right.
and welcome to our Patreon video.
Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye!
We have the flexibility to create without having to necessarily worry about how that's going to impact us financially.
Today, guys, we're going to help you learn how to best optimize your Patreon page. Anyway, we started your Patreon account. I don't know.
I'm here to talk to you today about my Patreon.
Patreon. Audible is the best place to get audiobooks and other spoken word entertainment.
I think we've got to, since this whole vote happened, one thing as a Remainer that I've wanted to see is a Brexiteer step up and take responsibility and accountability for delivering something which I still believe is the wrong thing.
Yes.
But the vote has happened, and I want to see the person who was one of the four most people in that campaign.
So I don't think he's done any of the things you describe, but what you're encouraged by is the thought that it's going to be on him.
What I'm encouraged by is that people will be held accountable for what they've encouraged the country to do. And finally here, we have a leading politician who stepped up. It's not May, it's not Hunt, who's just May.
Yes.
Mark II. It's somebody who was the forefront of that campaign, who convinced all of those people to vote for it. Well, finally, it will be on them to deliver the benefits that they told them would be there. So,
and when he can't? Hello? We lose Tom? No, and when he can't deliver it, I would like to share your slightly positive analysis, but I worry about what happens when this balloon pops, or when this sort of...
Oh, absolutely. Because I'm encouraged by the fact that finally we've got somebody who's going to step up and be held accountable.
Yes.
Doesn't believe that I still think Brexit will leave this country worse off. However, somebody who's got the conviction and the belief that it could work is better to take us forward than somebody who's fundamentally disagrees with it.
That's quite a nuanced analysis. I agree with parts of it, and I violently disagree with other parts of it. I think, I'm not here to defend Theresa May, but she did her best. And her best wasn't good enough. What we're being asked to believe now is that Boris Johnson's best will be good enough. And as Tom points out, at least he is a leaver, so they can't accuse him of... Except, of course, Tom, and I remind you, they've already started accusing Michael Gove of being some sort of traitor to the Brexit cause, despite the fact that he was co-convener of the Vote Leave campaign. These are the times we live in. I'm minded to do a little bit more on this, but probably not the whole 3 hours, probably not even another hour. We'll probably take it up to 11:30, is my feeling. Depends whether or not the quality of calls retains its current calibre, so the pressure's all on you. 0345 6060 973, and of course Henry and Ava, who have the pleasure of picking up the phone should you deign to ring in. The questions are myriad, all linked to the encounter between the interview of Boris Johnson by Nick Ferrari earlier today. I would love to know if your view of the man has changed. Obviously, the subtext of that question is, as ever, if not, why not? How much more evidence do you need of the man's absolute unsuitability for high office? And of course, you've already seen all the evidence of his absolute unsuitability for high office, especially his brief tenure in high office. If that wasn't the most compelling evidence yet that he shouldn't be allowed anywhere near the reins of power, then nothing that happened on LBC this morning will have persuaded you. And that notion of conning the public again, refusing severally to answer questions about why the police were called to his flat. You know, if you'd even sat here 6 months ago and talked about a potential Prime Minister just weeks away from Downing Street, refusing to explain why the police were called to his flat during an incident of suspected domestic violence possibly isn't fair. But that's where we are.
On your radio, on Global Player, and...
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.
From
From Global's newsroom at 11 o'clock, speaking on LBC, Boris Johnson has refused to address suggestions a photo of him and his partner, which has appeared in newspapers, was a setup. The image of the Tory leadership frontrunner and Carrie Simons was published days after police were called to a late-night argument at their home. LBC's Nick Ferrari asked about the photo a total of 26 times this morning.
Did you know the picture was being put out there, Mr. Johnson?
There are all sorts of pictures of me out on the internet which pop up from time to time.
Did you know this picture was being put out?
I am aware of all sorts of pictures of me out on the internet. It is entirely up to newspapers to decide what they want to print, but the longer we spend, let's get on.
Did you know this picture was out there?
Of course I knew that there was a picture like that in existence.
LBC's political editor Theo Usherwood has more on why the questions about the photo are significant.
Where and when Boris Johnson gets his hair cut shouldn't be at the top of the agenda for the Conservative Party's 160,000 members. But it's important because yesterday's photograph of the former mayor and his girlfriend Carrie Simons in a field was issued to newspapers to show that the pair had rekindled their relationship following a bust-up in the early hours of Friday. But Boris's hair is a lot longer in the photograph than it is now, and there have been questions that it was taken some time ago, and that will lead to more questions that Mr. Johnson has misled the public, bringing to the foreground the question of whether he can be trusted to be truthful if he becomes Prime Minister.
During the phone-in, Mr. Johnson also insisted MPs would back a no-deal Brexit if the EU doesn't agree to changes to the withdrawal agreement, but he insisted it is possible to reach a new agreement with Brussels before the end of October. A judge has ruled the Hillsborough match commander David Duckenfield will face a retrial. He's always denied the gross negligence manslaughter of 95 Liverpool fans at the FA Cup semi-final in 1989. The Crown Prosecution Service sought a retrial after a jury was discharged in April following a 10-week trial. The Met Police Commissioner has told LBC cases of violent crime in London are going in the right direction. It's despite a spate of 5 murders in as many days in the capital earlier this month. Cressida Dick has defended her previous claims about the tide of violence turning, but she's accepted many people won't believe it yet.
I completely understand that people feel frightened. So our job is to get out there, to lock up the bad guys, to take the weapons off the streets, and give the best possible support.
Southern Water has been told to pay out a record £126 million in customer rebates and a fine by the regulator Ofwat. The utility company has apologised for deliberately misreporting its performance and allowing waste to leak into the environment. The LBC Markets report a short time ago the FTSE 100 was down 14 points, 74.01, and the pound buys $1.27 and €1.12. LBC weather staying cloudy with further light rain in eastern and some central parts of the country, brightening up across western and southern areas with the odd heavy shower, and feeling very warm and humid, a high of 25 degrees. From Global's newsroom for LBC, I'm Simon Conway.
Confucius once said, life is simple, but we insist on making it complicated. We're no philosophers, but at SEAT, we believe choosing your next car should be simple too. So we're offering the Ibiza SE Tech for £189